So what I noticed in some of my videos I've been doing lately, I've actually never shown like the finished engine bay. So I guess I should show that. Yeah, the engine bay's been done for a while. I just always, whenever I do videos, I have the hood closed. But yeah, so we've got the Pro Tuners intake. We've basically deleted all the wiring out of the engine bay. I have one more wire there to hook up. That's for the reverse light. So I need to run a wire over to the transmission. But yeah, I mean, it looks really clean in here. Everything fits really good. I reused the stock airbox because I really like the look of it. It's like a factory cold air intake, I guess you'd say. But yeah, that works out really good. Got a new radiator. This is just like the eBay ones you can get for like $100. Yeah, I made my own little, like, I had a couple couplers just laying around in my pile over there. And I made this made a coupler going down like a 45, and then a straight coupler and a little turn here. This is some 3-inch tubing. And I got that all to work and got it all hooked up to the stock airbox. Painted that black, kind of cleaned it up, sandblasted it, painted that black. So that all looks good. I am running all -8 AND lines. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, that's like overkill for whatever this is, 180 horsepower. But remember, originally I was gonna put a 2JZ in this car. So I ran the fuel system prior to changing my mind. So it is what it is. It's all -8, all PTF lines. I have a really nice Dishworks DW2000 regulator. So this fuel system here would be good for like 700 horsepower, which we're not gonna be anywhere near that. I do plan on putting nitrous on this car though. I have a couple extra nitrous solenoids that I'm gonna try to make a little kit on here and maybe do like a little 50 shot off of the ECU. Like I'll put it on a switch and then have the ECU trigger it at certain RPMs or a certain load. And yeah, I do want to try nitrous. Very, very small shot, like 30 horsepower. So it would be really nice to have this car up over 200 horse. I think that'd be pretty cool. So, but anyway, what else? Oh, on this side here. Yeah, on this side over here, obviously we got the coil bracket we made a couple videos ago. The fan, I'm using the mechanical fan. Now that was a little tricky because the Milk Fab trigger wheel for the crank trigger kind of gets in the way, okay? So as you can see, the crank trigger sticks out a little bit and it actually would hit the fan. So I gotta get something to kind of, some acetone or something to get these marks off. But I went ahead and notched every single fan blade so that it clears it. And it works. So the stock fan on these, the clutch, activated fan keeps this car super cool. I mean, it doesn't get over 180 degrees. And right now in Florida, it's like 95 degrees out and this thing stays cool as can be. So that's good. I'm glad I have the mechanical fan. I had to do a little more trickery on the bottom too. I could only use half the shroud because part of the shroud ran into the trigger wheel too. So keep that in mind, guys. If you're gonna go with a crank trigger, the Milk Fab Engineering one, you're gonna have fan interference issues, okay? So what else? I don't have anything, like pretty much there's no wiring in this car. All the wiring is up in the fenders here. So all my lights, all, the fog, the turns, everything is all up in the fender here. And then it goes down, hidden underneath this tube here, up underneath, and it's all, clamped all up underneath there so you can't see it. So yeah, I really wanted to focus on that to make the engine bay look less cluttered, because if anybody out there has a 280, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The engine bay looks horrible, cluttered, wires everywhere, tubes everywhere. I mean, it looks like a mess, okay? So this is what I'm going for right here, this super clean look. The only other thing I might add would be air conditioning, which would add a little more complexity in here, some more wires and some tubing and, you know, the condenser up here, but we'll see in the future. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. What else have I done? I gotta put the seats back in, but I got a new mirror. This is off of Amazon. So this mirror it's basically a front view and a rear view camera. I mounted the camera right here, underneath the plastic cover there. So that's mounted up under there. I got to make a little cover for the dome light because my dome lights are now LED strips up above. Oh, I did a headliner too today. So that turned out pretty good. And I used LEDs kind of like ambient lighting there and then over here too. So that's my dome light, and everything works. It's all activated by that and the door switches. So this is really cool. I don't know, maybe one day I'll go over like an in-depth review on that. But yeah, I kind of wanted, in this video, I wanted to show you guys, you know, how to, you know, do some tuning and some different things you can do to make some cool noises with your car. I know that it's, you know, a lot of people frown upon it, but, you know, I don't really care. It's kind of fun to have your car making pops and bangs whenever you're shifting or whatever, or letting off the gas. Especially these old cars, they kind of do that already. So, but I'm going to show you a couple different ways in the tune that you can like achieve that. So yeah, let me put the seats back in and then we'll kind of get into it. Okay, before I get into showing you how to do it, I'll tell you what it is. It's basically to get those pops and bangs and flames, you're retarding the ignition timing and adding fuel. So that when the exhaust valve is open is when you're getting your spark. And when you add fuel, it's going to create a flame, and that flame has nowhere else to go but out the exhaust, okay? It's useful like spooling a turbo or off throttle, having the, you know, retarding the timing so that you get pops and bangs to keep the turbo spooled, you know, when you're off throttle, like say a rally car or something like that. And then the other one would be like ignition cut whenever you're changing gears, okay? It slows the engine down and it makes it easier to shift. So the first one I'm going to show you is basically a timer, okay? ECU Master has timers in it. So we'll go over to timer, we'll click on parameters, and I'm using a virtual output, okay? So that virtual output is, so I don't need to use like a switch. Basically the switch is whatever I choose it to be. So in this case, I'm using basically the TPS. So we'll go over to parametric outputs here, and we'll go over to the virtual output number 1. And as you can see, I have TPS checked or selected, and the variable will be 0, okay? And then the variable number 2 is nothing. So basically what that means is whenever the ECU sees 0 on the TPS, it's going to set that timer off and do whatever I tell it to do, okay? And we're only going to do it, cycle it one time. So every time it does it, it's going to do it one time. And then it has to wait until it comes back to that again, okay? So once we have that all set up, we know that's going to work, okay? We'll get out of this box. And then what you do is you go back to your timer, okay? And in the timer, you have fuel correction and ignition correction, okay? So the fuel correction, we're going to add fuel, okay? And this down here is the amount of time. So we're adding fuel for 1 second, okay? And then we're going to do the ignition, and we are going to cut timing 27 degrees. Okay, so we're adding 156% fuel, or 56% more fuel, because 100 would be what your par would be, or what average would be. So 56% more fuel and negative 27 degrees timing. So that should give us a nice bang out the exhaust whenever we let off the gas. I'll keep in mind that if you do this, you're probably gonna run through a bunch of O2 sensors. So keep a few on hand, okay? So once we do that, we're gonna go ahead and save all that. Start the car up. Like that. I got to show you guys this in a different video. But anyway, so I'm going to let it warm up a little bit and I'll come right back and then we'll show you the difference between with the timer on and the timer off, okay? All right guys, so it's warmed up pretty good right now. So I'm going to give you a little, like a quick rev without the timer. And then I'll put the timer on and see if you can tell. Well, you're going to tell the difference, but so we'll go ahead and do that. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and put the timer on. So we selected our TPS. Now we're going to try it again. All right, so you can really tell the difference. Let me turn it off again. So big difference, right? So let me shut it off. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Okay, you can use a timer and then you can play with your degrees of retard and all that and how much fuel you add to it, and you can get flames like you wouldn't believe. I mean, if you add enough fuel and enough negative timing, you're gonna get lots of flames, okay? Okay, so that's one way to do it. And then another way to do it is you can use Sport and then the ALS anti-lag, okay? I'm not gonna set it up because usually like that's like I might do that in the future, but you kind of want to have that on a switch. So that's just, it's the same thing. Okay, the only difference is you can use a switch. So basically what that means is you can be going down the highway at 4,000 RPMs, hit the button, put it to the floor, and it's just gonna be pop and bang right there until you let off the button, okay? Again, on a naturally aspirated car, it's really not gonna do anything for you. It's not gonna launch the car. If anything, it'll slow you down because it's gonna be running really fat and rich. Okay, that's basically for turbo. So I'm not gonna set all that up because it's really, for this car, would be useless. But I just kind of wanted to tell you guys that there was a couple different ways to do it. So same thing, you would go to parameters, okay? You would select whatever you want. You could use a switch, you could use an analog input. We can even, you can use different things. Like if you wanted to use your clutch trigger, you could push your clutch in and then hit it and it would, do all the pops and bangs and all that. However you want to do it, you could do it that way. And then you're basically, once you do that, get out of there, get out of all this stuff. You just go to your ALS ignition, and this is gonna correct your ignition. You can see it right here. It's already set for negative 30 degrees. Okay, so that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get negative 30 degrees, and then your ALS fuel correction is gonna be adding 30% fuel. Okay, so there you have it. It's the same thing. It's no different. The timer is nice because you can select exactly how much time you want it to do it for. So if you want to let off the throttle and you want like one pop and one bang, you could do 1 second. If you want a little bit more, you can do 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. You don't want to go too far with that because you could actually stall the car when as the RPMs are coming down. You're at negative ignition timing, so it'll stall the car. So that's not your goal in that situation. But anyway, now that you guys know how to set it up, maybe we'll take it for a quick spin. I'll put a camera on here and we'll see what it sounds like on, using both different ways. All right, guys, back from the little drive, and I was checking the GoPro, and you could definitely hear the difference of when I switched the timer on, so that it would cut the timing, add fuel, and it was just for 1 second. So when I shifted and you let off the throttle, you would get that pop. Okay. So I mean, you could still play with that, play with the settings, get more. I mean, you could get flame shooting out to here if you wanted to. Plenty of videos on YouTube, guys that have flames coming out like crazy. That is just a little pop, okay? So anyway, I just kind of wanted to go over that and show you guys how to do it, how to set it up, what it's for, why people use it. There's a lot of different ways to do it in the ECU, especially if you have a standalone, I recommend a standalone. A lot of guys are out there trying to fight stock ECU and track down problems. A standalone is great, and it teaches you a lot about how your car works too. So anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to show you. That's going to do it for this video. I'm not sure what's coming up next. I know that I'm going to start working on the Mustang again, because I think in October there's a race I might want to go to. So anyway, that's going to do it, guys. I will check y'all later.